From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
The very issue is just cause and cause for peace in many fields like that. So I mentioned, of course, the president himself inquire about these things.
The Dalai Lama meets with President Obama at the White House over Chinese government objection. Then, was Israel involved in the assassination of a top Hamas commander in Dubai? Diplomatic tensions are growing amidst revelations that 6 members of an alleged hit squad were using fake British passports.
Well, I'm very angry about it, and I'm very concerned. It's a very, very serious issue. It puts the security of our citizens at risk.
Then, selling food stamps for kids' shoes. While the number of Americans receiving food stamps hits an all-time high, a new study says poor families are selling their food stamps on the black market for cash in order to survive the recession. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The Obama administration has announced it'll seek Senate ratification of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, or CDPT. Speaking at the National Defense University Thursday, Vice President Joe Biden said the U.S. remains committed to banning atomic weapons, but added the U.S. will continue to modernize its arsenal until it's assured all nuclear-armed states are on board. The administration has committed over $7 billion in spending on its nuclear arms sites. In a statement, Paul Kawika-Martin of the group Peace Action praised the backing of the CTBT, but added, quote, instead of spending $7 billion on facilities to upgrade nuclear weapons, that money would be more wisely spent on increasing the rate of dismantling the U.S. stockpile. Fewer nuclear weapons makes Americans safer and sends the right message to the rest of the world, he said. Biden, meanwhile, also said disarmament would be made easier by increased spending on a so-called missile defense shield.
Capabilities like an adaptive missile defense shield, conventional warheads with worldwide reach, and others that are developing and being developed will enable us to reduce the role of nuclear weapons as other nuclear powers begin to draw down even further, just as we wish to do. With these modern capabilities, even with deep nuclear reductions, we will remain undeniably strong and in a position to defend our interest against all our enemies.
A newly revealed United Nations study estimates the world's 3,000 largest corporations are responsible for over $2.2 trillion in environmental damage. The unpublished report was conducted by the Principles for Responsible Investment Initiative and the United Nations Environment Program. The study says the companies would have to divert 1/3 of their profits to pay for the environmental damage they've caused. The Obama administration appears to be backing calls for passing health care reform legislation through the congressional process known as budget reconciliation. On Thursday, the White House said it'll unveil new health care legislation next week that could be attached to a budget bill. That would allow the Senate to approve the legislation with a simple majority instead of the 60-vote supermajority needed to avoid a Republican filibuster. In other healthcare news, newly released figures show the recession has led more Americans to enroll in Medicaid than at any point since its establishment over 40 years ago. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, more than 3 million people signed up for Medicaid in the year ending last June, increasing enrollment 7.5% to a record 46.8 million. 13 states reported double-digit increases. As enrollment has ballooned, states across the country have tried to cut benefits to keep up with budget constraints. The Kaiser study says 29 states are considering further reductions or have already made them since the current fiscal year began. The Obama administration, meanwhile, has issued a new report criticizing insurers for increasing the cost of medical care while pulling in record profits. On Thursday, Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius discussed the rising cost of insurance premiums across the United States.
In this last year alone, the largest insurance company in Michigan requested a 56% rate hike. In Connecticut, it was 24%. In Oregon, we saw a 20% rate hike being requested. Maine, it was 18.5% last year, which was actually denied. And this year, they've come back and asked for a 23% rate hike. And most recently, which has gotten a lot of attention, is the WellPoint Anthem request for a 39% rate hike, which would affect 800,000 of their individual market customers.
Sebelius went on to contrast the increasing costs with record insurance industry profits last year.
The 5 largest insurers in America have declared more than $12 billion worth of profits in 2009. WellPoint alone posted a $2.7 billion profit in the fourth quarter of 2009, just a week before they filed for a 39% rate increase.
The United Nations has launched a new appeal to meet its $1.4 billion goal for emergency aid to Haiti. On Thursday, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said the UN is still $768 million short of its needs for Haitian relief.
The people of Haiti, so many lost their lives, their homes, their livelihoods. Their resilience, their patience, their solidarity amid almost inconceivable hardship. To them we say, once again, we are with you. We will help you to recover and rebuild.
Former President Bill Clinton, the UN Special Envoy for Haiti, joined Ban Ki-moon to meet the appeal 1 week after undergoing heart surgery.
The Haitians aspire to have you come to Haiti as tourists, not donors. They want to build a country that can stand on its own 2 feet, that can be modern and strong, and which has the capacity to meet human needs. But in order to do that, we have to do this flash appeal because now there are still too many Haitians living from day to day.
Meanwhile, in Haiti, fears of the coming rainy season were heightened Thursday when a heavy downpour hit Port-au-Prince. It was the second major rainstorm to hit Haiti since the earthquake struck. Thousands remain without shelter, and tents provided to many displaced Haitians have been unable to withstand the rain.
I'm staying on the ground, but the rain came all night. It's causing trouble because I don't have a tent. I don't know what to do. We have 1, 2, or 3 days until the rain comes, and I don't know what to do. Everyone is in the same situation.
In Afghanistan, 6 NATO troops have been killed in the deadliest day for NATO forces since launching the attack on the Taliban stronghold of Marja last week. U.S. commanders had claimed to have control over Marja, but Thursday saw the most intense resistance of the 6-day assault. Also Thursday, a NATO airstrike mistakenly killed 7 Afghan police officers and wounded 2 others. The attack took place in the northern province of Kunduz. The United Nations nuclear watchdog says it's uncovered evidence Iran could be trying to develop a nuclear warhead. In a new report, the International Atomic Energy Agency warns, quote, the information available raises concerns about the possible existence in Iran of past or current undisclosed activities related to the development of a nuclear payload for a missile. The report also confirms Iranian claims to have produced 20% enriched uranium, its highest level to date. It was the first report on Iran issued under new IAEA Director General Yukiya Amano. The Obama administration's changed the name of the U.S. occupation of Iraq from Operation Iraqi Freedom. Defense Secretary Robert Gates issued a memo this week announcing the war in Iraq will be rebranded as Operation New Dawn. Gates wrote the name change marks, quote, a strong signal that Operation Iraqi Freedom has ended and our forces are operating under a new mission, he said. Operation New Dawn shares the same name as the November 2004 U.S. attack on Fallujah that killed hundreds of Iraqi civilians and displaced thousands more. In Niger, President Mamadou Tanja has been overthrown in a military coup. Tanja sparked political unrest last year after he altered the constitution to allow him to remain in office indefinitely. The African Union has condemned the coup. The soldiers involved say they're aiming to restore democracy to Niger. Back in the United States, an Internal Revenue Service building was set afire in Texas Thursday after a small plane crashed into it in an apparent suicide attack. The pilot, a man identified as Joseph Stack, and an unidentified federal employee inside the building were killed. Before flying the plane into the building, Stack apparently set his own home